Khan here for Seconds Out with top trainer Shane McGuigan, star of the small screen and the YouTube channel as well too, Shane McGuigan. Good to see you. Talk to me about the new venture with the YouTube channel. What's going on there? What sort of content can people expect?
Just trying something new, really. Just doing something different. I basically want to raise money for a charity. Cancer versus Young Lives. It used to be Click Sergeant, which is cancer, leukemia in childhood. It's a charity that my family supported for years when my sister had leukemia, and then obviously they've changed it just to a broader spectrum of cancers, not just leukemia. And yeah, that was the plan. I got asked to run for them in London Marathon, and I did a 2 hours 53 marathon. So they asked to get me to try and raise some awareness and some money around it. So that was the plan, and I thought there was a lot of interest in the Stable documentary that we did on BBC iPlayer, and I thought, look, well, we can maybe do some mini series and something different, and I think it's got some good traction. So just a little bit of education in terms of like how to train, how to prep for either marathons, boxing events, stuff like that. I'm not going to give away everything in terms of like pad work. It's not going to be like a full tutorial on how to coach and stuff, but just something different. And I think I enjoy it. I've always liked my fitness, always liked my training, and I feel like if I can help one or two people to get back into their training, then that would be a great thing. I mean, I've got a lot of messages since to say like, I've been out running the game for the first time in ages, doing some strength work and stuff. So that to me means a lot. Do you know what I mean? Because even ask my family, always trying to get people to train. I had to go with my dad today for not training enough. So it's a passion that I've always pursued, and I think just document it really.
Here's a question I have for the channel. I'll wait for the response on a video. Did my first ever 5K. I'm not a runner at all. Went up to 7K, and I'm wondering how I get from a 7K to a 10K. Don't have to answer it now. Maybe we'll see that on the channel in the future. Any boxing content specifically? You mentioned about like doing tutorials, but any reactions to pieces, anything like that you're giving imparting your insight on?
Yeah, maybe. I'm probably going to do some breakdowns of fights and stuff, and just some technical breakdowns of it. And I might launch it with Bivol versus Beterbiev. It'll be like you have to do a couple of outtakes. He did a ropey introduction on the last one, so we let him do another intro. So that might be something to do, and just see how it goes. Really, I'm not really looking to like make it into some like a Seconds Out YouTube. I just want to sort of document training and do stuff like that.
Hopefully we'll still see you on Seconds Out coming through 2025 in the future. Now let's rewind before we look forward. Ellie Scotney making it look very easy. She did another belt to her collection against Miyamoto, onto bigger and better things in 2025 too.
Yeah, I thought it was a great performance. She only lost a round. Unfortunately had a calf injury that reoccurred during the fight. So, but that was the reason why the first fight got pushed back. But she boxed really, really well, and I think that girl 20-0 with 8 knockouts. It was the most dangerous challenger out of the 122 division, in my opinion. I think she would have beat most of the champions. So to get her out the way in terms of she was the mandatory, I think that was a great win, and to do it so wide as well. And she hurt Miyamoto a few times. It's I'm really happy with her progress.
A small update in terms of the gym as well, seeing Craig Richards leave to link back up with Tony Sims. I did speak to Craig at the back end of last year, going into next year, and his hopes for the year. You mentioned that like he felt working with you, it sort of suddenly clicked with you, but now it sees that he's gone back to Tony. What was the process like getting him to learn what you wanted from him, and what was the process for him leaving the gym as well?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously me and Craig are on really good terms. We arranged that fight against Padraig McCrory, but just moving forward, I think like it was probably the best move. I've got a lot of time and energy I'm putting into the Adam and Caroline and stuff like that, and Ellie obviously, and CBS. I think the way he wanted to train, he wants to do more conditioning work, and I think he's been in a system for a long time. Him and Peter weren't working together no more, and I think Tony couldn't really take him on, and he was down sparring Chris. So he came down and asked to take over down there. And obviously, I've known him for a long time, and I believe he's a really good fighter. I think he's still win a world title, and just moving forward, I think logistically it was a better move for him. He's in such a good system out there that he's been around for so long, and your body adapts to that system. I think changing it late on in your career can sometimes work against you. And we had a discussion and we sort of sat down, and I think just moving forward, that was the right thing to do.
And amongst the social media posts, I see specifically Instagram pictures of people sparring, and I see Carol Atuma being a figure in the gym quite prominently. Has he joined the McGuigan gym now?
Yeah, Carol has been in the gym for a long time. He reached out to me, and probably October last year. I think September, October. So yeah, I mean, he's a great prospect. He's a long way off that level in terms of like with Craig. So there was no competition there or anything. But just going to take it slow with Carol. He had a setback unfortunately early on in his career, but he's still so untapped. He's got so much ability. And I'm really looking forward to working with him. We're going to have our first fight together on March the 1st in Bournemouth. Obviously, that was the same date that Craig was going to. We're going to move it to 15th of March, but then myself and Craig had to sit down and we moved it back to March the 1st. And hopefully, the important thing for him is just get busy and get active this year. There's a lot of pressure on the Atuma name with the brother, but he's on his own journey, and I think 175, he can slowly start ticking some names off, and it's a long vision for us. But I've known him for a long time. He's a Kent lad like myself. Obviously, I spent majority of my life down there, and it's from Chatham, so I'm excited to see his progress.
This weekend, Adam Azim wants to cross off the name of Sergey Lipinets as he looks to close the distance on world title challenges. The expectation here from Adam Azim is knockout. Do you feel like that's something they could deliver on the night?
That would be the icing on the cake, wouldn't it? You're in against a former world champion, IBF world champion in Sergey Lipinets, and he's been beaten up at 147 by Boots Ennis, Garcia, and then Michael Riviera, who's fought for a world title himself. So pretty sure he boxed Frank Martin, didn't he, for a world title? So yeah, I mean, those are the guys he's been beaten by, and they're very, very established names, big names. And I think that experience that he can bring to the ring is going to be fantastic for Adam to sort of know what it feels like to be in there with a former world champion, a guy that will be coming to win. This is not a checkout job for him. I genuinely believe, as Ben Shalom says, he's been trying to get a promotional deal, and I believe it. I'm sure he'll think, I'll knock this guy out, and you give me a load of fights afterwards, and that's what we sort of want. We want that version of Lipinets, because that means he's coming to win, and I think Adam will be super switched on and have to be switched on, and I think that will bring the best out of him.
From your point of view, and Adam's, is the context of the Dalton Smith rivalry on this fight week, is there any thought about that? Is that a thing that's factored into this week, just kind of the noise surrounding Dalton Smith?
I think it's just going to be one of them Ricky Hatton versus Junior Witter scenarios or whatever. Every time a name is mentioned, there's just, they'll have to mention it with somebody else, you see what I'm saying? But the difference between Dalton and Adam is they will actually get that fight over the line. Do you know what I mean? And I think the thing is no offense to Junior Witter, but he wasn't the most fan-friendly style, and Ricky was. Whereas I genuinely believe Dalton and Adam are great aggressive, exciting styles. I think that'll make for a super fight. I just, we'll see where we are after this fight. Do you know what I mean? And we've just seen where Dalton is. He wants to fight Puello for the WBC world title, and we could be close. We could be close to getting it on, because I think he beats Puello, and can get on for a world title. That for us is always the icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? To do it at the top level, not to do it for a European or a British. And very similar situation years ago with Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg. It was they got ordered for the British title, and they ended up doing it for a unified world title. And that would be fantastic. Whether we can get it for a unified or not, or just a world title, either way, we're happy to get the fight on. It's just the icing would be on the cake if it's for a proper crown.
Do you take much from his quick knockout of Weezer?
No, he's a great fighter. I think he's a fantastic fighter. I just genuinely believe my lad has the style to beat him, and but they're both world class fighters, and we got a lot of respect for Dalton.
I did watch on the stomping ground Eddie Hearn kind of suggesting that Lipinets was maybe a little bit old and maybe not of the caliber of opponents that Dalton Smith has been fighting, and also that when Adam Azim took to Sky Sports,
it's a bit like the Zapida fight. The Zapida was old; he had a lot of miles in his clock, but he's a promoter, so he's always going to say what he wants to say to tarnish the other fight. But if Dalton Smith was boxing Sergei Lipinets, he'd be saying this guy's a world champion and all this sort of stuff. So it is what it is. It's part of the game. We just focus on our journey, especially this close to a fight. The most important thing is getting him to win and look good and just build his fan base.
The B part of the question was that he's seen Adam Azim speak with Sky Sports and say he was closing the gap on Gervonta Davis, and kind of said that was delusional in the context, to paraphrase him, when he's not faced Dalton Smith. Any response to that?
Gervonta Davis made, I think, about 35 million in his last fight, and I think I don't want to be derogatory to Dalton Smith. I don't think he made a lot of money in his last fight. So obviously, when you're a fighter, you're looking at the biggest fights possible, and that's the way Adam is looking. Obviously, he's happy to fight everybody, but it's about the reward at the end of it. So yeah.
CBS goes in against Brandon Glanton. Now, when I was discussing the fight with my colleague Danny Flexon on our live, I said that, look, CBS comes in the favourite of the fight. I don't see a way that Brandon Glanton can change it from being, if CBS wants it to be, an attritional affair. Is that the way that you see it, that CBS's route is to do what he does best and just really put it on, make it dirty, make it a hard, horrible fight, and that's the way it gets through Brandon Glanton, who does possess a lot of power?
Yeah, Glanton's a heavy-handed guy. He's if you look at his last fight against Egorov, he just walked him down, pushed him back. He's strong. He's got a lot of belief in himself. He's not been stopped or knocked out. He's got 2 defeats, once against David Light, which was a split decision, and then I can't actually remember who the other defeat was, but both on points. Apoche, yes, and it's a great fight. It's at the end of the day, it's a great fight. It's somebody that's going to be coming over from America, chatting all this shit, getting. Potentially stealing that could potentially steal the fight of the night on that card, which is a huge audience, and it's a calculated, clever move on our behalf, and that's Chris wants to fight for a world title again. He knows he can't go in there off a loss, so this guy's a perfect opponent that's got a lot of credibility, and they're genuinely coming to win. They believe they're going to beat Chris, and I think that's what. It's something at this stage of Chris's career to really get his teeth stuck into and knuckle down and dial in on. And I think, April 26th is our new target. Get there, make sure the camp goes well, and go out there and put a great performance on.
Back to Adam Azim, it was mentioned by Eddie Hearn as well that Montana Love could have been a potential opponent but he said a deal couldn't be made from Montana Love's side. Was that the possibility that Adam Azim could have featured on the JR-BENN undercard against Montana Love?
That was potentially, but also at the same time we had to get through this. We didn't know, and he's got Ramadan coming up as well, so it was always going to be a tight turnaround because he's probably have about 2.5-3 weeks of sparring after Ramadan's finished. So he could train through it a little bit, but he's very strict on with his religion, and he won't bend the rules. He'll make sure he does it properly, and I think That was the plan, is trying to get out on that show. But whether it's going to happen or not, I'm not sure. Most importantly, Saturday night we've got to zone in, because this is the worst thing you can do right now, is take your eye off the ball. Adam, he knew there was a potential to go on it, but he just obviously is focused in on this. And us as a team, we're looking to always plan next steps and next moves. But I thought that would have been a great fight for him, and I think Montana Love priced himself out.
So let me take your mind to that main event, Eubank Jr versus Benn. A lot of conversation about that rehydration clause. From your experience with fighters in that sort of scenario, how much will that inhibit someone like Chris Eubank Jr.?
I've never actually had a fighter. I mean, obviously when they're boxed for the IBF, now it's done off a percentage, but back in the day it used to be off £10. So if you're, say, a 168, which I didn't have, I had a 122 pounder that was the IBF world champion. So that's quite a lot of weight. £10 for a 122 pounder is quite a lot of weight. Whereas for a man like CBS, for instance, that wouldn't be a lot of weight to put back on. So we haven't really had that weight being hindered in that sense and being capped. And I think where he is in his career at the age that he's at, I think that is going to be a factor. I don't think he ever goes really that heavy. He might get up to like 173, 174 pounds. I don't know what time that rehydration weigh-in is. It's 10 pounds, isn't it? It's just 170 and the following day. But you can see guys that have that like a different body shape, like they're thicker and they'll swell a lot. Whereas with Eubank, you know he doesn't swell up and down a lot. He doesn't do a lot of water and cut a lot of weight. You can just tell that from. Whereas I think Ben at 147 would have a body to proper swell, because he's that shorter, stockier, thicker set. But Ben's not, he's probably about 173, 174 right now. So he's a heavy dude. He's got the ability to keep his speed and really and swell up. I just think the two main factors on it is the weight for Eubank, and then the activity for Ben. We know that Ben's been on great form up until the ban. He's had one fight in the meantime, but when your eye's out and you haven't had a lot of warm-up fights or anything like that, in an ideal world, he probably could have got a 6 or an 8 rounder just a month before or 2 months before, but just to get your eye into timing in with the small gloves on. But he doesn't have that luxury, and I think those are the variables that we got to take into consideration.
So with that hydration clause, will it affect punch resistance? Will it affect output, endurance? Do you feel like that will be detrimented for Eubank Jr? I
don't think it will affect punch output, but it will definitely affect punch resistance. So it's no secret that people when they get their body fat down too low, and they start limiting like carbohydrates and water and stuff, people get a little bit more vulnerable. So, but what his plan will probably be is to sort of get as lean as he can and hit sort of 158, 159 and then obviously drink a little bit up, where he would normally be a bit drier down at 160, so he doesn't swell quite as much. But 35 years, I think he's a year younger than me, so it's tricky doing that at that age.
Who are you backing?
I said Eubank on points in my last interview, but I don't know. I think Ben fights at a high tempo. He's got a good punch out, but I think Ben will probably beat him on points.
Shane, looking forward to more takes like this on your YouTube channel. Thanks for speaking to Seconds Out, and looking forward to the fight this weekend.
A lot of change of opinions.
Looking forward to it nonetheless.